My sister's husband visited our mom every Sunday. What I saw through her window broke me. He showed up like clockwork, flowers in hand, dressed too well, always alone. I thought it was innocent, until I saw him hold her hand and smile like she was the only person in the world. That was the moment everything started to unravel. Every Sunday at exactly 3 p.m., my brother-in-law Mark would pull into my mom's driveway like clockwork. Alone. No kids. No Rachel, my sister. Just him, dressed way too nicely for a casual visit, carrying a fresh bouquet of flowers or a fancy dessert from that overpriced French bakery downtown. He'd stay for hours. Sometimes until dinner. Then drive off without so much as a wave. I noticed it because I lived just 2 houses down. I never thought much of it at first. He was always polite, kind of robotic, but harmless. Still, something started to feel wrong. I'd pass by on walks and see him laughing in the window with my mom. Not just laughing, leaning in, grinning, like he enjoyed being there. My mom would touch his shoulder or laugh too hard at something he said, and I'd feel my stomach twist. Rachel once told me Mark hadn't hugged her in over 6 months. She brushed it off like it didn't matter, said she stopped expecting warmth from him a long time ago. "He's just a cold guy," she said once. "He does the job, pays the bills, and stares through me like I'm furniture." But he didn't seem cold on Sundays. He seemed present. Comfortable. And my mom? She looked like she was hosting a secret. Hair done. Makeup on. I even saw her once wearing that emerald necklace Dad gave her the year before he died, something she hadn't worn in over a decade. I asked Rachel about it one day while we were cleaning out her garage. "Why doesn't Mark bring you to Mom's with him?" She gave me a weird look, then shrugged. "He says it's their thing. Sunday catch-ups. Do you ever go?" "No," she said, brushing dust off an old lamp. "I stopped asking years ago." That answer didn't sit right with me. Not just because of how casual she made it sound, but because Rachel and I were raised by a mother who does not bond easily. She was never warm. Never doting. She was a checklist kind of mom. Homework done? Chores done? Great, now go away. But Mark? She was practically giddy to see him every week. I brought it up to my mom once, lightly, jokingly. "You two have Sunday brunches now?" She smiled in this tight, amused way. "He likes the company. We get along well." "That's cute," I said, watching her wash the same glass 3 times. "Kind of weird, but cute. He's good to me," she said quietly. Then she turned the faucet off and left the room. That was it. No explanation. No elaboration. Just that. He's good to me. As if I wasn't supposed to ask anything else. The next Sunday, I sat on my porch as his car pulled up, a sleek silver Tesla he definitely couldn't afford on his own salary. My mom opened the door before he even knocked. Like she'd been waiting for him. I couldn't let it go. Not anymore. Something was happening. And I needed to know what. The following week, I couldn't stop thinking about them. Mark and my mom. I'd catch myself staring off during work calls, imagining their Sunday ritual like it was some twisted soap opera. I hated that my brain went there, hated that I was starting to picture things I had no business picturing. So I called Rachel. We hadn't been close lately, not since I told her I thought she was settling in her marriage. She'd laughed at me, like I was naive for thinking marriage was supposed to feel like anything other than a slow death. Still, she picked up. "You free to talk?" I asked. "Depends. Are you calling to tell me how sad my marriage is again?" I exhaled. "No. I'm calling about Mom." That caught her attention. "What about her? Why is Mark so close to her?" A pause. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you always say he's distant. You two don't talk, you don't go out, he's like a ghost in your house. But every Sunday, he's at Mom's. Laughing. Hanging out. Bringing her flowers like it's date night." Rachel didn't answer for a long time. Then she sighed. "Yeah. I know." "You know?" "Of course I know. He's been doing it for years. Doesn't that seem off to you?" Another pause. Honestly, I stopped caring. That made something cold settle in my chest. "You stopped caring that your husband spends hours alone with our mother every week?" "He's not cheating on me with her, Jenna," Rachel said flatly, like I was ridiculous. "He's probably just trauma bonding or something. They both like control. Maybe they trauma bond over how annoying I am. Who knows? You don't think it's weird? Not even a little? She gave a small laugh, not amused, more like exhausted. Jenna, we don't even sleep in the same bed anymore. He stays up late watching documentaries about wars and I fall asleep to true crime podcasts with headphones in. We're roommates. That's it. Let him have his weird little Sundays. At least he's not screaming at me or cheating with his secretary. The way she said that, like she hoped that was all he was doing. I think something's off. I said. Really off. I know you do. She said quietly. But let it go. If you dig, you'll just make it worse. I stared at the phone, heart thudding. Worse than what? I asked. But she'd already hung up. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her voice, let it go. If you dig, you'll just make it worse. But the thing is, I'd already started digging. And there was no way I was stopping now. I made up an excuse the next Sunday, told Mom I had to help a friend move, so I wouldn't be stopping by. I watched from my upstairs window as Mark's car pulled into her driveway at exactly 2:59 p.m., right on schedule. Same silver Tesla. Same neat button-down shirt, like he was going to a brunch date. He even adjusted his collar in the rearview mirror before stepping out with a box of pastries in one hand and a small bouquet of sunflowers in the other. My stomach turned. I waited until he walked inside, then slipped out the back door, cutting through neighbors' yards until I reached the alley behind my mom's property. From there, I crouched by the garden fence. Her kitchen had wide windows, and if I angled myself just right, I could see inside. At first, everything seemed normal. Boring even. They were sitting at the table, coffee cups in hand, laughing about something. But then something shifted. Mark reached across the table and took my mom's hand. Not in a polite, brief kind of way. It was slow. Intentional. His thumb brushed across her knuckles, and she smiled at him, not like a mother-in-law. Like a woman being romanced. I felt my chest seize. I crouched lower, my heart pounding so loud I swore they'd hear it. I couldn't hear the words, but the body language was crystal clear. They weren't chatting about grandkids or casseroles. This was intimate. Then my mom stood up. Walked around the table. Mark didn't get up. He just looked up at her with this dazed expression as she leaned down and whispered something in his ear. He smiled. She ran her hand through his hair. I stumbled backward into a rake, which clattered to the ground behind me. I froze. Inside, both their heads snapped toward the sound. I ducked low and bolted down the alley, lungs burning. By the time I got home, I was shaking so badly I dropped my keys trying to unlock the door. It didn't make sense. My mom, our mom, was strict, emotionally stiff. Cold even. Growing up, she'd barely hugged us unless someone died. And Mark? He was dull. Awkward. He couldn't make eye contact during Thanksgiving prayers. But together? They looked like they were in some private bubble where nothing else existed. I kept trying to tell myself maybe I saw it wrong. Maybe the hand-holding was innocent. Maybe the hair touch was comforting. But I knew what I saw. That wasn't family warmth. That was chemistry. And I was going to make them explain it. I didn't wait long. That night, I texted Mom and asked if I could swing by after work. She said yes, told me to come around 7. I showed up with 2 coffees from the place she liked, one with oat milk and extra cinnamon, her weird little signature. She smiled when she opened the door, but something about it felt tight. Guarded. We sat in the living room, the air already thick. I saw Mark today, I said, skipping the small talk. She blinked. Yes. He came by. Like he always does. She sipped her coffee. Yes. I stared at her. You going to explain what's going on? Her eyes didn't flinch, but her fingers curled around the mug tighter. There's nothing to explain. You think I didn't see you too? She inhaled through her nose. See what? He was holding your hand. You touched his hair. Jenna. That's not normal, Mom. She stood up then, slowly, placing her mug on the coaster like we weren't having the most deranged conversation of our lives. You need to stop this. Stop what? I stood too. Asking why my sister's husband looks at you like you're his damn soulmate? Her jaw clenched. You're being dramatic. No. I'm being observant. Rachel's miserable. She says he barely talks to her, won't touch her, won't look at her. But every Sunday he's here. Because I'm kind to him. She snapped. I treat him with decency. Something your sister forgot how to do years ago. That stopped me cold. You're blaming Rachel? I'm not blaming anyone, she said, but her tone was sharp. I'm saying life is complicated. People find comfort where they can. I sat back down, needing to steady myself. You're not denying it. What would you like me to say? I stared at her. That it's not what it looks like. She didn't respond. Jesus, Mom. I never meant for you to get involved. So it's true. She sat down again, suddenly looking much older than she had a minute ago. Jenna, your father was dead 5 years before Mark ever stepped foot in this house. Do you know how long it had been since anyone looked at me like I wasn't invisible? That's not a reason to. I'm not defending it, she said, eyes shiny now. I'm just telling you the truth. I didn't plan it. But it happened. And it's not what you think. What is it then? She looked away. He needed something. So did I. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Rachel knew, didn't she? My mom's silence answered for her. You're both sick, I whispered. This whole thing is sick. Her mouth trembled, but her voice stayed calm. Then walk away, Jenna. You don't need to carry this. But I did. Because pretending I didn't know felt worse. Because Rachel was my sister. And I wasn't sure who I hated more now, my mother, or myself, for not seeing it sooner. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mark leaning in, my mom brushing her hand through his hair like it was the most natural thing in the world. My brain kept screaming no, 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 but my gut knew. It had known for a while. The next morning, I did something I'm not proud of. I logged into Mom's old laptop. She wasn't exactly tech-savvy, and I still remembered her password from when I used to help her set up email filters. I told myself I was just looking for confirmation, some proof that it wasn't what it looked like. Some innocent explanation. Instead, I found a folder labeled Utilities and Insurance. Inside were PDFs of bank transfers. Thousands of dollars sent monthly from my mom's account to Mark. It started around 6 years ago. At first, the payments were small. A couple hundred. Then they grew. $2,000. 5. 1 month even showed a wire for $7,000 labeled Contractor Refund. None of it made sense. Mark wasn't her contractor. And he definitely didn't refund her anything. Then I found the emails. They weren't labeled with his name. But they were there, in a hidden folder inside her Gmail, marked Family Receipts. Of all things. The messages were short. Cryptic. But clear. You said you needed me to stay. I stayed. So why does it still feel like I'm the bad guy? Sunday can't come soon enough. You're the only person who sees me anymore. Sometimes I think you're the only reason I haven't vanished. My skin crawled. This wasn't just emotional. This wasn't just comfort, like she claimed. They were in deep. Mentally. Physically. Financially. And all of it behind Rachel's back. Or so I thought. Because the next night, I met up with Rachel. I told her everything. The Sunday visits. The hand-holding. The payments. The emails. She didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She just stared at me with this hollow little smile, like she was relieved. I figured, she said softly. You what? I've known for a while. My stomach dropped. And you didn't say anything? Rachel let out a bitter laugh. To who? You. Mom? Him? I didn't know what to say. She went on. He started pulling away after our second miscarriage. That's when it changed. He'd come home late, stopped touching me. I assumed it was another woman. And then I noticed the way Mom looked at him. Like he was her redemption story. Why didn't you confront them? Because this way, they both rot. Her voice was flat. He's trapped. She's in love with a man who pities her. And I don't have to lift a finger. They'll destroy each other. I just stared at her. Rachel. You shouldn't have dug. She said. I made peace with it. Now it's all out in the open, and none of us get to pretend anymore. You're okay with this? She looked at me, not angry, not sad, just tired. No. I'm just done pretending to be surprised by what people are capable of. I left her house in a fog. Mark. Mom. Rachel. Everyone had known. Everyone but me. For a week, I didn't call anyone. I didn't go to Mom's. I didn't answer Rachel's texts. I couldn't even drive past her street without feeling my stomach twist into knots. I kept replaying that moment, Rachel's voice, so calm, saying, "They'll destroy each other." It wasn't even anger I felt anymore. It was something colder. Like grief. I had watched my family fall apart, and nobody even screamed. Then, late Thursday night, Mark showed up at my door. I opened it half asleep, still in sweatpants, hair a mess. He stood there in a hoodie, hands in his pockets, face tight. "I need to talk," he said. "I think we're past that," I said, starting to close the door. He stopped it with his foot. "Please." Against every instinct I had, I let him in. He sat on the edge of the couch like a man waiting for a verdict. "I know you saw us," he said. I didn't reply. He went on. "It wasn't supposed to go that far. I was in a bad place. Your mom, she listened. That's all it was, at first. You've been sleeping with her for years, Mark." He flinched. "I know. She's my mother. My sister's mother. You married into this family and then tore it to shreds. I didn't plan it. That doesn't make it better." He looked down, nodding. "I know." Then he said something that caught me off guard. "She saved my life." I scoffed. "Don't romanticize it." "I'm not. I mean it literally." After the second miscarriage, Rachel shut down. I was drinking. Bad. Your mom found me one night. I was passed out in my car. She got me into therapy. Paid for it. Paid my missed rent. She told me I wasn't worthless. "So you paid her back by crawling into her bed?" He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean to fall in love with her." I stared at him in disbelief. "You're in love with my mom?" He didn't answer. I realized then that whatever this was between them, it wasn't a fling. It wasn't some impulsive mistake. It was a fully twisted, codependent disaster, and he truly believed it was love. "You need to leave," I said. He stood slowly. "Rachel knows, doesn't she?" "She's known for years." He blinked, shaken. "She's letting you rot." That got him. He looked at the floor for a long time. "I thought she didn't care." "Oh, she cares," I said. "She just wants to watch it all burn." He nodded once, like that landed somewhere deep. Then he walked out without saying goodbye. That was the last time I ever saw him. After Mark left, everything unraveled faster than I expected. He didn't show up the next Sunday. Or the one after that. Mom didn't say anything, but she knew I knew. She stopped texting. Stopped calling. I think in her mind I chose sides. And maybe I did. Rachel didn't say much either. She kept everything business as usual, like the dam hadn't burst. She'd send the occasional group message about work stuff or a random meme, but never mention Mom. Or Mark. Like they'd both been deleted. 2 weeks later, I saw a moving truck outside Rachel's house. She hadn't told me she was leaving. I showed up uninvited, watched her box up the last of her books. "You're really going?" I asked. "New job. New city," she said, barely glancing at me. "Fresh start. You could have told me. What would have changed?" I didn't have an answer. "I'm not mad at you, Jenna," she added. "You were just late to the disaster. Doesn't make it your fault." I helped her load the last few boxes into her car. We didn't hug. She drove away with the windows down, music too loud, hair blowing wildly. Like she couldn't get out fast enough. The house sat empty for months. Mark disappeared completely. Quit his job. Deleted social media. Vanished like he never existed. I heard through someone that he left the state, too, maybe followed Rachel, maybe just ran from the wreckage. As for Mom, we spoke once after it all blew up. She invited me over for tea. The house was too quiet. She looked thinner. "Have you heard from him?" I asked. She shook her head. "Do you miss him?" She didn't answer right away. Just stared into her mug. "I miss how he made me feel," she said. "That's not the same thing, is it?" "No," I said. "It's not. I thought I was helping him." She whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." "You hurt everyone," I said gently. "Including yourself." She nodded. But I don't think she really understood. I don't think she ever will. After that, I stopped going over. It's been a year. Sometimes I still walk past that house and see the curtains drawn, lights on in the front room. I wonder if she still waits for him on Sundays. If she sets 2 mugs out by habit. If she thinks of us, the daughters she had, the family she wrecked. I wanted closure. I thought uncovering the truth would make everything make sense. But all it did was confirm the worst. Some people will torch everything just to feel alive for 5 minutes. And others will let it happen, just to watch it burn. I didn't lose a sister, or a mother, or even a brother-in-law. I lost the illusion that any of us were ever whole to begin with.